July 2017, Greece. A Russian man is vacationing in a small seaside hotel in Ouranoupoli. Moments later, police cars surround the hotel. The man is handcuffed and dragged out by American agents. His name is Alexander Vinnik, America's most wanted. The Department of Justice said he helped wash over $4 billion in dirty money. But what made his case truly shocking was that a large part of that money traced back to the biggest crypto theft in history, the Mt. Gox hack, where 850,000 bitcoins vanished overnight. And many believe the man they arrested wasn't the real mastermind, just the fall guy in one of the biggest cover-ups the crypto world has ever seen. Alexander Vinnik was born in 1979 in Kurgan, a small industrial city in Russia's Ural region. He grew up in the chaos of post-Soviet Russia, a time when technology was racing forward, but rules hadn't caught up. From a young age, he was obsessed with computers. By the late 1990s, Russia had become a hub for young programmers and hackers alike. There were few legal jobs in tech, but endless opportunities in the shadows. Many who couldn't find work at big firms turned to the growing underground, helping others move money, crack systems, or build anonymous networks. Vinnik studied information systems and later worked in small IT jobs. Nothing glamorous, but it gave him something most people didn't have at the time: a deep understanding of how online transfers really work. In 2009, Bitcoin appeared, an experimental digital currency with no banks, no middlemen, and no oversight. For ordinary people, it was confusing. For someone like Vinnik, it was a goldmine waiting to be explored. By 2011, he was working with a small team of developers who created BTCE, one of the first major crypto exchanges in the world. On paper, BTCE looked like a place to trade Bitcoin, but in reality, it was a digital laundromat. You could deposit stolen Bitcoin, mix it with clean coins, and withdraw it to a new wallet, completely anonymous. For years, BTCE operated quietly under Alexander Vinnik. It handled billions in transactions but never registered with regulators. The US Treasury later said it violated nearly every anti-money laundering rule in existence. Yet for criminals, hackers, ransomware groups, and shady traders, it was the safest place to clean dirty Bitcoin. But the real turning point came when investigators noticed that BTCE wasn't just handling ordinary dirty money. Some of its deposits matched exactly with coins stolen from Mt. Gox, the Japanese exchange that collapsed in 2014. At that moment, Vinnik went from being a shadowy programmer to the man holding the keys to one of the biggest missing fortunes in history. But how did that Bitcoin disappear in the first place? To understand the chase that made him America's most wanted, we need to go back again, back to where the heist really began. Before Bitcoin became the global obsession it is today, there was one exchange that ruled them all: Mt. Gox. At its peak, Mt. Gox handled more than 70% of all Bitcoin trades in the world. By February 2014, it was dead, offline overnight, with 850,000 Bitcoin missing. More than 750,000 belonged to customers. The rest belonged to the exchange itself. How did the world's biggest exchange lose everything? In 2007, Mt. Gox wasn't even about Bitcoin. It was a website for trading Magic the Gathering cards, created by an American programmer named Jed McCaleb. Later, he retooled the site into one of the first crypto exchanges on the internet. A year later, McCaleb sold it to Mark Karpeles, a French coder who moved its servers to Tokyo. He was brilliant but overconfident. He turned Mt. Gox into a one-man empire: CEO, developer, and administrator all rolled into one. Under Karpeles, the exchange grew at a ridiculous pace. By 2013, it processed nearly 3/4 of the world's Bitcoin trades. Investors trusted it like a digital bank. But beneath that success, Mt. Gox was a ticking time bomb. The core software hadn't been updated in years. Account balances were kept in a single Excel file that Karpeles could edit manually. The servers holding customer wallets sat right next to the web front end. No separation, no real security. If Karpeles fell asleep, Mt. Gox fell asleep. When he went on vacation, the website froze. Every decision, every line of code depended on one person. Then came the breach. In 2011, hackers slipped into Mt. Gox's hot wallet, the pool of Bitcoin used for daily transactions. They didn't take everything at once. They siphoned coins slowly, 10 to 50 BTC at a time, spreading them across thousands of wallets. Between 2011 and 2014, more than 300,000 outgoing transactions quietly drained 850,000 Bitcoin without anyone noticing. Karpelès didn't even realize it. Mt. Gox never matched its internal records against the public blockchain. When users checked their balances, they saw numbers on a screen, but many of those numbers no longer represented real coins. As the losses grew, so did the complaints. Withdrawals delayed for weeks, support tickets unanswered. By February 2014, the site was collapsing under its own weight. Then came the final blow. Mt. Gox froze all trading and vanished from the internet. Investigators later discovered a small stash of 200,000 Bitcoin sitting untouched in an old cold wallet. But 650,000 Bitcoin, worth billions today, remained missing. Karpelès blamed it on a Bitcoin flaw called transaction malleability, but experts dismissed that claim, saying the bug couldn't explain losses on this scale. As pressure built, investigators found new traces, transactions that pointed to another name, one that would soon dominate headlines across the crypto world and become America's most wanted: Alexander Vinnik. The deeper investigators looked, the clearer the trail became. Buried inside thousands of transactions was a pattern: coins leaving Mt. Gox and reappearing somewhere else, on a platform few people had ever heard of: BTCE. As mentioned earlier, BTCE wasn't your average exchange. For most of its life, it operated in total secrecy, a digital laundromat for the internet's dirtiest money. The same exchange Alexander Vinnik was running behind layers of fake names and shell companies, registered in Seychelles, Bulgaria, and Cyprus. Investigators found that since 2011, BTCE had processed billions of dollars in cryptocurrency, not just from Mt. Gox, but from ransomware networks, dark web markets, and stolen exchange wallets. Through automated scripts, Vinnik mixed and redistributed coins across thousands of wallet addresses, creating what blockchain experts later described as a perfect fog. Some of those coins were traded back into cash through underground exchangers. Others were converted into new wallets and left untouched, the so-called sleeping wallets that, to this day, hold hundreds of millions in missing Bitcoin. By mid-2017, Vinnik had become one of the most wanted men in crypto. On July 25, 2017, he checked into a small seaside hotel in northern Greece. Within hours, police surrounded the building. He was arrested on the spot. The United States immediately filed an extradition request, accusing him of laundering over $4 billion in Bitcoin. Russia filed its own. Then France joined in. For years, Vinnik became a geopolitical pawn, a man too valuable and too dangerous for anyone to let go of. The US wanted him for money laundering, unlicensed money transmission, and computer crimes. France accused him of helping launder ransom payments from a wave of Locky ransomware attacks that hit hospitals and universities across Europe. And Russia, his home country, demanded him back, charging him with a much smaller, unrelated fraud case. But everyone knew what was really going on. Vinnik was a pawn in a much bigger game. For 2 years, he sat in Greek detention while courts debated who would get him first. His health declined. He went on hunger strikes. His lawyers argued that extraditing him anywhere outside Russia would be a death sentence. He was denied visits from his wife, who was dying of brain cancer back in Russia. She passed away before she could see him again. Inside detention, multiple attempts were made on his life. Quiet warnings from people who didn't want him to talk.
Greek law enforcement received intelligence on plans to prepare an assassination via poisoning with the help of criminals. I wonder who else it would be with the help of. Probably criminals.
Then, in 2020, France got its turn. Vinnik was extradited, convicted of money laundering, and sentenced to 5 years. But even that didn't end it. In 2022, he was transferred to the United States to face a new round of charges for operating BTCE as a global money laundering engine. The case dragged on until August 2024, when Vinnik suddenly accepted a plea deal. He admitted to laundering millions through BTCE, but avoided the maximum sentence. And then came the twist that no one saw coming. In February 2025, during diplomatic talks between Washington and Moscow, Alexander Vinnik, the man once accused of laundering the world's biggest Bitcoin theft, was released in a prisoner exchange for an American teacher held in Russia. He stepped off a plane in Moscow, a free man. For Vladimir Putin, securing Vinik's return was a calculated move, a way to reclaim a figure with deep knowledge of global crypto flows. Behind the scenes, his skills were seen as valuable assets in a world where digital money had become a new battlefield. Despite years of investigations and billions in stolen crypto still missing, Vinik faced no further punishment. And just like that, one of the biggest digital heists in history, from Mt. Gox's fall to BTCE's rise, ended without justice, leaving behind a single question that no one has been able to answer for over a decade. Where are the missing 650,000 Bitcoin?